Hey, wrestling fans. Welcome to another 360 Wrestling Podcast live stream right here on YouTube for Sunday night, August 6th, 2017. And I just thought I would come on for a quick live stream to discuss a little bit of wrestling news. And then after that, I'm going to talk a little bit about some wrestling podcasts, some of the ones I listen to, some of the ones that I am a fan of, that I listen to on a regular basis. That's why I made that the title of this stream right now. And sorry, just sharing this real quick on the social media to get the word out there about the stream. And like I said, in a little bit, gonna talk about some of the wrestling podcasts out there, and I'm sure some of the or most of the ones that I listen to are the same ones that most wrestling fans listen to right now. Most of the usual well-known podcasts that are out there right now in the world of pro wrestling. And real quick, I just want to go over the little bit of breaking news that I talked about yesterday. Just once again, just to get it out there, Clash 150 has been rescheduled. It was originally supposed to be taking place the 26th of this month, but now it will be September 23rd, Taylor, Michigan, at the Taylortown Trade Center. And believe me, it is still going to be a show that you do not want to miss. So circle it on your calendar. Got two of them right there. Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton back there. Mark it on your calendar right now. September 23rd, Clash 150, the new date. And you better be there at the Taylortown Trade Center for that huge event, because it will be an event you do not want to miss out on. I mentioned it yesterday, but you know, the other Lance Brock, who hosts Clash Wrestling 360, will definitely be there, and he usually has some good guests on, such as his beard brother, Caveman Elk. Last time it was Devin Shaw from the new Clash Tag Team Champions, the Lost Boys. And just like every Clash show, is one you do not want to miss. And stay tuned. Pretty soon, I'm sure tickets will be on sale soon for the pre-sale at clashwrestling.com. And it is definitely a show you should be at. Once again, stay tuned for when the pre-sale tickets go on sale. And right now on the WWE Network, SummerSlam 2013, which of course featured the main event, Brock Lesnar and John Cena. That was the match where Lesnar just destroyed him in the main event. I'm sure everybody remembers that match, that pay-per-view, and it's the one where Hulk Hogan hosted it, was the host. And also, right now, you got The Miz and Dolph Ziggler in the ring. And Dolph Ziggler just won with the zigzag. So, right after this stream is over, I recommend you go on to WWE Network and watch SummerSlam 2014. I thought it was a pretty good pay-per-view. And shortly, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the G1. Right now, I am on the 360 Wrestling Podcast Twitter, about to tweet out about the live stream. So if you are following 360 Wrestling Podcast on Twitter, you'll see that right now. And just real quick, I'll start and hopefully can get some viewers in here and maybe can get a chat started. I hope. But we'll just have to wait and see. Also, if you want, you can follow me on Twitter at Lance360pod. About to tweet the link out to the live stream on at Lance360pod right now on Twitter. So if you're following my personal Twitter page, you will see that right now. And right there, just been tweeted out. So now I'm officially going to start this live stream. And I'm going to start off talking the G1 once again. And now we got A Block matches. It was Yuji Nagata defeating Zack Sabre Jr. Kota Ibushi defeated Yoshihashi. Good match here, I thought. Bad Luck Fale defeated Hiroki Goto. Another pretty good match here. I was impressed by Fale. Naito defeated Toge Makabe. And Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Tomohiro Ishii in a very good match. In my opinion, it's one that I definitely enjoyed. And at this time, once again, going to go over the current standings for the G1. And with 12 points, it is Hiroshi Tanahashi. Naito with 12. And with 10, it is Bad Luck Fale and Kota Ibushi. 8 points, it is Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroki Goto. Makabe has 6. Yoshihashi with 4 points. And Yuji Nagata with 2 points. Now, in the B block, Kazuchika Okada, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, is ahead with 12 points. And with 10 points, it is the first ever IWGP United States Champion, Kenny Omega, with 10 points. Also with 10, it is Evil. And with 8 points, Minoru Minoru Suzuki, and Sanada. Michael Elgin, Yano are with 6 points, and Tama Tonga and Juice Robinson with 4, and then Kojima has 2 points. That is the current standings as of right now with the sorry about that, I can't talk tonight. With the New Japan G1 Climax Tournament 27. And another thing I want to talk about real quick is the results from the GFW house show from last night. Staten Island, New York. Bali Ba defeated KM. And Dan Moff, Anthony Bowens, and Pat Buck defeated the New Heavenly Bodies. Trevor Lee defeated Baccarat. From Lucha Underground defeated Ali and Sienna in a triple threat match. That sounds like a good match right there. Eli Drake defeated Braxton Sutter. And the GFW Tag Team Champions defeated Drago and Sanjay Dutt, which I think that right there sounds like a pretty interesting match. The main event, James Storm, Moose, and Johnny Mundo, has John Morrison here still, but defeated the new GFW Impact Grand Champion EC3, Low Key and Lashley in a 6-man tag team match. That was the results of the GFW house show, which took place last night in Staten Island, New York. And just by chance, if anybody watching this live stream right now or going to watch it later, leave in the comments, how was it? Was it a good show? Was there a good turnout? Did it draw a good crowd? Just leave in the comments below, right there. Or come on to the live stream in the chat on the side. What were your thoughts on it if you were able to attend it? And also, getting some other quick news right here. Cody Rhodes, now just Cody, part of the Bullet Club, says that he is making 3 times more money than he was in WWE. And there's a new interview out now, shoot interview, I should say, from our video with former WWE superstar Simon Gotch. Should be interesting right there. And unfortunately, Yoshihiro Takayama is reportedly paralyzed by spinal injury, which is some very sad news to hear about. And there's reports out that Ring of Honor, their ticket sales for the Global War show that's taking place in the UK are doing very well. And that is about it for news right now on this live stream. And right now at this time, like it says in the title of this stream, I want to talk about some wrestling podcasts. And there are definitely a lot of wrestling podcasts on the internet these days. And I'm sure most of them, if not all of them, are better than mine. But there are a whole lot of them, I'm sure. As you may know, I'm sure most people watching this video right now probably listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts. Hopefully 360 Wrestling Fanatic and Clash Wrestling 360. And like I said, most of the wrestling podcasts that are out there right now are better than mine. But, well, I've been told not to talk about how bad I am, but well, some other ones, obviously, some of the major ones. You got the Steve Austin show. You got his family-friendly one, and Unleashed. Talk is Jericho, the Ross Report, and two of my favorites are also Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and you got the other one that is co-hosted by Conrad Thompson. Also, What Happened When Monday with Tony Schiavone is definitely, those two right there are definitely two I listen to every week. And the other ones I just mentioned as well. And MLW Radio, which is the home of Bruce Pritchard and Tony Schiavone's podcast. And speaking of MLW, MSL and Sullivan is another podcast that I'm a big fan of. And Kevin Sullivan is somebody that I think has a great mind for the wrestling business. And it's good to hear him kind of, as he says, go back in his way back machine and talk about the time when he was booking in WCW. They recap the Nitros and the pay-per-views. So, sorry about that flying here. Stupid fly. So, if you haven't checked out MSL and Sullivan, it is definitely, there goes that flag again. It is definitely one that I recommend you check out. And of course, Live Audio Wrestling, the main show, which airs on TSN Radio in Toronto, but you can listen to it online all over the world. And there are other podcasts too, with John Pollock and Waiting, Review of Raw, Review of SmackDown, Review Away, and you also got What's Next with Jason Agnew and Braden Harrington. And another good one from the Law, Keep It 2000 with Brian Maxwell Mann and Nate Milton, where they're going back and talking about every Monday Nitro from the year 2000, which I'm sure most wrestling fans know that was definitely not the best year for WCW, but they are toughing it out, going through, which was WCW 2000. And I'm a fan of it, and that is definitely another podcast that I recommend. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Keep It 2000. And real quick, I actually got to talk about a non-wrestling podcast that is very good. I've mentioned it before on 360 Wrestling Podcast and right here on the live streams. The Three Wise Men. Like I said, it actually is not a wrestling podcast. It's a movie podcast. But it is hosted by my good friend Tyler Elkins. And if you listen to Clash Wrestling 360 not too long ago, you heard that Caveman Elk is also a fan of that podcast. The Three Wise Men. Definitely do yourself a favor and check out that podcast. Even though it's not wrestling, still check it out anyway. It's actually a good podcast. You can follow them on Twitter and you can like their page on Facebook, The Three Wise Men. And another great podcast that everybody should listen to, the Raw Dogs Podcast, which is very good. You can like them on Facebook and Twitter, the Raw Dogs Podcast. Very good podcast from Ohio. I listen to it, and you should too as well. Also, another podcast that I've just started listening to recently is No Gimmicks Podcast. That is one you should definitely check out. They got some good interviews on their YouTube channel with Donovan Dijak and the legendary Rey Mysterio Jr., which there has been some reports lately about him maybe going to GFW. If you haven't seen that interview yet with Rey Mysterio or Donovan Dijak, I definitely suggest that you go check it out. Very good podcast, very good host, and I'm sure you will be a fan of it just like I am. And the other podcasts that I have mentioned as well. And hopefully 360 Wrestling Fanatic, which is hosted by Lance Brock. And another podcast that is hosted by another Lance Brock, Clash Wrestling 360. It is the podcast that is all about the podcast. Sorry, I can't talk tonight for some reason. It is the podcast that is all about the collective league of adrenaline, strength, and honor, Clash Wrestling 360. That Lance Brock. Now that Lance Brock is a great podcast host. And like I said, he usually, every show, he has an interview with Caveman Elk, live Clash shows. And he's had Devin Shaw, as I mentioned, and Dr. Wrecking Ball Randall Casey, and much more superstars. Quite a few of your Clash Wrestling superstars have been on Clash Wrestling 360. So you definitely want to check out that podcast right there. And I don't know if they count as podcasts, but 360 Wrestling Podcast TV right here on the YouTube channel. Maybe not, but I don't know. Does video count as podcast? I don't know. Well, whether if it does or doesn't, check them out. And I have been told by people before not to talk about how bad my podcasts are and how much I suck. So I'm not going to. I guess I should just lie and say I'm the best podcaster in the whole world and I host the best podcasts in the whole world. I don't know. Should I say that? I don't know. Anyway, if you can, check out the 2 podcasts there and another podcast, 360 TBT, where I go back and talk about a past show. Yeah, I stole the idea from Review Away, John Pollock and Waiting, as I mentioned earlier. But that is now going to be a Patreon exclusive for the Patreon supporters. And you can be a Patreon supporter. Log on to patreon.com/360 Wrestling Podcast to support. It'll help out a lot if you can. But if you can't, that's fine too. I'll be doing blogs on there and exclusive podcasts for the Patreon supporters. So once again, that is patreon.com/360 Wrestling Podcast. And that is all for this live stream right here on the official YouTube channel for 360 Wrestling Podcast. Thanks for watching, and I hope to have many more live streams coming up soon. Facebook, 360 Wrestling Podcast. Twitter, @360 Wrestling Pod. Instagram, 360 Wrestling Podcast. Please give it a follow. Email, 360 Wrestling Podcast @gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions of any kind at all. 360 Wrestling Podcast @gmail.com. And Clash Wrestling 360, also on Facebook. Give that page a like. And some of the podcasts that I mentioned earlier, the Raw Dogs podcast, and you can like them on Facebook as well. Follow them on Twitter, the Three Wise Men podcast, also on Twitter and Facebook, and No Gimmicks podcast. Like them on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure they have a Twitter too. But those 3 podcasts are great. You should definitely be listening to them. And once again, Patreon if you can support 360 Wrestling Podcast. And right here on the YouTube channel, like the videos, comment on them, subscribe, and click that bell for the notifications so you know anytime I'm going to be doing one of these live streams or post a video of any kind. Hey, I even have a video where I opened Don West's insane brown bag with the 5 t-shirts. If you haven't seen that video, you can go on the channel right now and check it out. And other episodes of 360 Wrestling Podcast TV, other live streams, some Clash matches, some podcasts are on here on the channel. But that's all for tonight. I'm going to keep watching SummerSlam 2014 on the WWE Network. And for now, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.